183, it's identical to 442. We never got out of the House, fully out of the House of Representatives in the last 14 years. So this year, we always passed the Senate. The Senate bill would go to the House and would sit there and they wouldn't do anything with it. So this year, we went and started in January and we visited with the representatives in the House, the committees, and in June, I think it was June 6th, we finally got the bill to the floor for a vote. It wasn't easy and it was a close vote, but we won 105 to 91. So that, and what that means now is the House bill sits in the Senate. As I said earlier, the Senate usually has not been a problem. But people are afraid now because the House bill passed. People didn't push back as hard because they figured people in the House was telling them it will never pass the House. Well, it did pass the House, and now we got more opposition coming out of the Senate, but we still are optimistic that we're going to get the Senate bill or the House bill passed through the Senate. Senate Bill 183, each bill has a sponsor. That means they're the ones, we gave them the legislation. They thought it was a good deal, so they take and sponsor the bill and they introduce it in Harrisburg. So the sponsor of the Senate bill, Senator Thomas McGarrigle out of Delaware County, we met with him and he's okay with leaving his Senate bill alone. And he's going to push the House bill with his colleagues in the Senate for us. So when that happens and we can get it passed, the governor has indicated he would sign that bill. Whether it's in 2017 or whether it happens in 2018, this legislative session ends December of 2018. So we have approximately 15 months to get the House bill through the Senate. So we're working hard on doing that. And that's important because once that is passed, then that is similar to all the surrounding states. And when it comes to reciprocity, states like New Jersey, we don't have anything to stop them from coming in Pennsylvania and doing all the work in Pennsylvania that they're doing now because we have no state license. When we have the state license, if they will not reciprocate with us, meaning that you guys can cross over the bridges and go and do work in New Jersey, if they refuse us, then we have the right now to refuse New Jersey and make them go through the apprenticeship program, even if they've been in business for 40 years. That's what they're trying to make Pennsylvania plumbers do now when they go over there. So there's a lot of good things with the licensure. The registration is very important, as I said earlier, for you guys. Now, there's two parts to the registered apprenticeship program. Classroom time, 576 hours. That is set by the Department of Labor. So that's how many hours of classroom time. That's the minimum amount of classroom time you can have. With that, you need 8,000 hours of on-the-job training. So in a 4-year program, that comes out to 2,000 hours of on-the-job training a year and 144 classroom hours. You are responsible for tracking your on-the-job training. Now, in this packet, there is in the back, there's 2 forms. They're identical, but that's the on-the-job training tracking. You really may want to take notes on the back of one of the other pages for this. This may save some phone calls and some questions to me. However, it doesn't matter. You all have my card. You guys can call me anytime. Your employers can call me anytime. So if you take a look on the left side where it has work processes, next to that it says OJT hours, and you look at those numbers. If you were to add all those numbers up, they would add up to 8,000. So what you need, this is a monthly timesheet. So if those hours add up to 8,000, you have to take 1,500. We'll take the first one, installation of piping for waste soil, sewage vent, and leader lines. 1,500 hours. You need to take that and divide that by 4. When you divide that by 4, then that's going to give you the required hours for that for 1 year. Okay?
375.
So that's 375 hours of that process of work for 1 year. This is a month sheet. So now you got to take 375 and you divide that by 12. And so there's 31 days listed up there. It doesn't tell you what day of the week, but it's easy to figure out with a calendar. So somewhere's across there, it doesn't matter. You don't have to have a number in each day. But somewhere across there, by the end of the month, did anybody do 375 by 12? I think it's
yes,
like
it will, sir.
60, 30 something, I think it was.
31.25.
Okay, so 31, let's just say 32 hours, because this is minimum. Remember, this is minimum. So anywhere across there, for the total month on the far right, has to be 32. So wherever you put numbers in there, they add up to 32. Okay? It doesn't matter if it was 32 hours of soil. I mean, they're just telling you this is the process. This is the form that comes from the Department of Labor. So don't kill yourself saying, well, I didn't do this or I didn't do that. Just put the amount of hours required. So the next one down is 1250. What are you going to do with 1250 before you do anything on this page?
Divide that by 4.
Right, we're divided by 4, and then you're going to divide that by 12, and then that's the monthly hours for that.
So round up, right?
Yeah, just round up,
so
yes.
313 on that second one is per year.
So, I mean, you know, I don't make these sheets up, so the federal government doesn't. And, you know, the hours requiring for some of this work up top, some of you guys may not do any of that. Then you get down to the third line, and they got solder work and lead burning 10 hours. I mean, in 1 year, that's all you need is 10 hours. You guys probably do hundreds of hours of that work, you know, in a year. So you just need to make sure those hours are in there for that time. So you just make copies of this page. Maybe the instructors, I don't know if they have a copy machine here. Generally, I'll make piles of 12, you know, and people that don't make copies or need copies, you can send them out. For, you know, that's enough for 1 year for one person.
For the lot.
So I have to keep these records. If I don't have these, you will not get a certificate of completion from the Department of Labor. They don't want these, but if they knock on my door and say, I want to see Joe Smith's on-the-job training hours for 2017, if I don't have a sheet for it, and they gave an issue to completion, I signed off and said, yeah, they completed it, they're going to close my program down. So it's a lot of paperwork that I have to keep, records that need to be kept by, I say me, but it's the Pennsylvania PHCC who's responsible for these records. So your responsibility is to fill out 12 of these, and that means at the end of your apprenticeship program, I already got somebody from this group that's got 2 years in, I already got 24 sheets from them. I'm going to have 48 sheets for each person that registers, is what I have to keep on file for the Department of Labor. So that generally is, that's the second most complicated page that we have. The first one is going to be, you're going to want to look at this page that has a sample on it. And this is usually one that's confusing between the apprentice and the employer. So if you look at the top, anything that has a circle on it, that's the information that you're required to put on the front page of here. And it's pretty simple until you get down to number 25. We'll go back to 24 first, where it says present journeyman's hourly wage rate, $23. That is what the state says is the average journeyman's rate across the state of Pennsylvania. So it does vary, different areas. It's higher in most cases in a lot of places, and it's lower in a couple places. But they want these numbers documented on this sheet. So it's been done for you at a $23 an hour rate. If anybody's rate is higher than that, because some guys are in fourth year, they could be higher than that. I don't know what the rates are, but you just need to make sure the minimum or the 23 is all you really need. If you're making more than that, you don't really need to go above that. Just leave it at 23. If somebody were to hand in a sheet to me under $18, the state will reject it. Because after 4 years of an apprenticeship program, they think that everybody should be at least 18. So remember, I said that's an average. So a lot of employers are sometimes nervous about putting stuff down on this paper. This is stating that is what the company's journeyman rate is. Now, there's a couple different journeyman rates, because you can have a mechanic who's been journeyman for 10 years. He's making a lot more than that. That's not the rate they're looking for. They're looking for your beginning journeyman rate. Yes, sir.
You're saying journeyman's rate is 18? 23.
Now, across the state, the Department of Labor says the average is 23. 18, after a 4-year registered apprenticeship program, the lowest rate they will accept is 18. So then you have to figure out the percentages, because as you see, the period is every 6 months. So you need to figure out what your starting rate was, figure out the percentage of that from 23 or whatever number you put in there, and then you just have to do the math to get up to 100% of the company's journeyman rate. That's generally the most confusing part of this sheet that people and some of the employers have. And I'd be happy to talk to you guys and or your employer. They can call me. They did call last year, and once they did it once, they figured it out. I know your company has a couple people in there, and it was pretty simple. So then on the big packet that you have, you go to the second page. This is a page your employer has to sign. He does not sign the first page. You sign the first page. But where it has the hours and percentage of journeyman's rate, you are just carrying over the percentage number from the page before, and down at the bottom, as of date, that's going to be as of whatever date you hand this paper in to me, what the journeyman's rate is. It will be the exact same what you have on the front. So if it's 23, you're going to have 23 at the journeyman's rate as of October 23rd, 2017, 23 an hour. Your first 1,000 hours is whatever it is there, 40, 45, 50, 60, and up. That's all you need to do over there. They just need to sign that part. The Department of Apprenticeship will sign the bottom part. The third page is for your employer as well. And this is the employer acceptance agreement. And all this is saying that they participate in a registered plumbing apprenticeship program, which is the program that is listed on the front page of this with the number and the code. So that's all they're doing, is saying that they participate, and that's their only responsibility other than signing off on your OJT. Somebody, and it doesn't have to be the owner of the company. If you have a supervisor or somebody you work under, they can sign off on the sheet. But somebody above you has to sign off on your OJT hour sheet that you turn in monthly. And that's your responsibility. That's not your employer's responsibility. Employer has, once his paper's handed in, he has no other responsibility other than you to go up and hand your OJT sheet to somebody to sign and then send it over. Yes?
So I handled this in last year, saying it's $18 an hour, yes, we submitted it this year.
No. If you, so whoever did submit the papers last year, sent them in, you're in the system. You don't need, I need your on-the-job training. I need the last page of that. I'm going to need 48 sheets of them by the time you're out of your fourth year. So you need to get me, even from last year, if I don't have, you got to get them to me because you won't get the certificate of completion unless I have those 48 sheets. So the question was, if you change employers, when you're on your OJT sheet, it's going to have a different employer on it. You need to just kind of let me know when that sheet, you get me that sheet, that it's a new employer. Then I will go in and change it to the new employer. Yes?
It's been 30 years, so I have to speak up from first, third year, second one.
Yep. You just figure it out. We went through the math, so if the numbers are there. Look, if I get audited, I have to have the sheets. So if I have the sheet and it's signed by somebody in the company, that's what they're looking for. So whatever you put on them and hand them in, and it gets signed off by somebody in your company, then that's fine.
What happens if,
I can't speak up. Well, it's up to you if you want the credit for the previous years, or you want to go and you want to wait an extra 2 years to get your certificate of completion. Follow what I'm saying? So if you just give me on-the-job training sheets for third and fourth year, you still owe 2 years of on-the-job training sheets. So you're going to have to wait another 2 years unless you go back and date your forms and send them in to me beforehand. It's not so much a conflict of interest. What it is we're trying to help you out moving forward. That's why it's important, especially for you first-year students, to really do this. And you know, we did get a decent amount of first-year ones back from here last year. It's very important. It doesn't cost you anything except a little bit of time and paperwork. And you may think it's a hassle, but it's your career. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, why would you not want this credential in your portfolio when you move on? So you're not really making them up. Did you work for somebody for 2 years prior? Okay, so then you just need to go back and fill out the sheets and take the time to do it. First, I think it would be worth doing that than waiting an additional 2 years to get your certificate from the state, right?
I'm sorry to interrupt. Could you just theoretically just take your W-2s from the past?
No, W-2s are not good. Hold on. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're not trying to beat the system or conflict of interest. We're just trying to make up for time of paperwork that wasn't filled out before. Technically, we don't have to give you that credit, but by registering, the Department of Labor gives us the ability to give students credit for prior OJT before they register. So if you send me the sheets signed by a legitimate contract, plumbing, heating, or HVAC company, then we'll give you the credit. Does everybody understand that for people that didn't register and are in past years? Yes. No, that's just, Right, you still have to do that. Those cards that you get are just apprentice cards. I don't know when that started with Pennsylvania PHCC, but it's been going on for years. That's saying that you're registered in the Bucks County Apprenticeship Program. The Bucks County program is registered under the Pennsylvania PHCC program. Do you have any other questions? So, it's really, you know, really very important for you guys moving forward and in your careers. I mean, you know, this is an excellent, excellent career choice for you guys. I mean, and there's not enough people coming into the trade. So if you use it right, get through the program. I know it's a hassle. I did it many years ago down in Delaware County. It's the last thing you want to do is come to school, even especially when it's a Monday night football game. But what is more important? I mean, I know it's tough at this time to think about it, but your career, this is your future. I mean, this is what you're going to do. And this all enables you to get your master's plumber's license for the state of Pennsylvania, which then you can do whatever you want and have your own company. You know, I know they do a test here, but once the state licensure goes through, then these are going to be testing facilities. So then that license will be recognized in more than just Bucks County. So. Yes.
Last year, for our first year,
From when the meeting was.
From when the meeting was, right?
Mm-hmm.
You implemented this was implemented last year. You started taking time
Yeah.
last year. So, when I haven't started. What?
So if you haven't started any yet, I'm going to tell you to go back to January 1 of 2017. If you're second year and you want credit for 2016, do January, send in sheets for January 1, 2017 through December. And actually, if all you guys are working, you can do that now. I got that clarification from the Department of Labor a few months ago. So you're starting school in September, but you can do the OJT from January 1st of 2017. All right? So.
Mike, there's a question in the back.
So for the days, total up to let's say 32 hours, and the ones that we didn't do yet, we were just kind of like rest zeros and then like 1 hour, 2 hours, 5 hours.
Yeah, you just have to figure it out where you want to put the numbers in there. As long as the numbers are in there and they add up to what's on the far right. Yep.
There's somebody over there.
When
on
you
that
go
table?
to take it, so about the W-2s, your W-2s is how you prove, that's your final proof that you were working under the direction of a master plumber when you take your test. Because that's required, I believe Bucks County requires that. Every other testing place, Delaware County requires that you can't sit for the test unless you have 4 years of W-2s. And then when you go to do the journeyman, you need 1 year of W-2s under a master plumber. Bucks 1 or 2 under a journeyman?
One.
So pretty much all of this is just to prove that you're doing that amount of hours for each topic.
What's that?
Goals, pulling out, just to prove that many hours for each topic. That's it.
That's what they, that's,
Show your W-2 to say I've been working for 5 years.
no, W, you
I
cannot,
thought you said W-2 for the test.
for the test. But
Now doing this is just proof you did that many hours.
you did that many hours and you at least worked on the stuff that the work progress that they described. We didn't create the work progress. That was created by actually not even Pennsylvania, by the United States Department of Labor. That work progress is the same across the country. Yes. What year? You're in your second year of school, so you will only go back to your first year of school. Go down. But gain the rest as you go through the program.
So guys, just to reiterate, by the time you're done school, it may be you're going for your state license. It will not be a county license anymore. It'll be for the state. So all this paperwork that you are doing will be part of that. Okay.
If the state license gets passed, does that mean all the people running around with the general, attorney general's license have to actually become the state license?
If the state license is going to be
People that have like plumbing trucks that have like PHCC numbers on them, does that mean?
He's saying the home improvement contractors that are able to do plumbing.
Yes.
they won't,
That won't be a local permit.
any place that requires a permit for plumbing permit, they will not be able to pull a permit without the license. They shouldn't be, townships, but. Do you have another question, sir? I'm sorry.
No.
No,
I'll say something.
all right, so. Yes. That hasn't been determined yet, but the test, I assume Delaware County is based on that plumbing code, 2009 International Plumbing Code. I don't know what Bucks County is based on, but.
Yeah, ours is based on the National Standard Plumbing Code. For whatever reason, the RCC board hasn't changed.
So the test will be based on the whatever the state code is at the time that it gets passed. Currently, the state plumbing code is the International Plumbing Code. Everybody has my card, so if you don't